And when I was doing my film study late Sunday night, I noticed a couple of things in this Georgia game, and I was like, oh yeah, that's why Georgia actually lost. And when I saw it for the second time, that's when it really stuck out to me. Because when you've already seen the game, the second time and third time you watch it, at least for me when I do my film study, you know what to look for. And I found what I was looking for. But here's the kicker with this play. And I was like, oh my goodness. Georgia fans ain't going to be happy when they see this. I guess I also need to clarify on that. When I say I see a weakness, it just means I think they're weaker than previous Georgia teams. But here's the one, and I mean the one thing that concerns me with this for Georgia, and I'll let this be known right now on Thursday night, I think they're in big trouble. And this is also really bad timing because, as we all know, the SEC Championship is only a couple days away. Although Georgia has made it to the SEC Championship unscathed, they have yet, and I can't emphasize this enough, they have yet to play a quarterback that is as elusive, athletic, and as great as Jalen Milroe is. I love me some Jackson Dart for Ole Miss. I think he's good. I like Spencer Rattler, Joe Milton, questionable, mediocre at best. But guys, they have yet to play a quarterback even as near as good as Jalen Milroe, at least in my humble opinion. His legs is what's taking this Alabama offense to another level in the second half of this season. And more importantly, in the past 3 or 4 games. And what would concern me about that if I was a Georgia fan is you haven't played a quarterback that can run like Jalen Milroe. I just strongly believe you would be doing yourself a disservice if you was a Georgia fan to be underestimating Jalen Milroe heading into this game. My point is, I think Milroe is the first quarterback, if I was a Georgia fan, that I would actually be scared of. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what you just saw right there was a short snippet from a video I made Thursday night, and I sent the entire college football world a message, and a lot of people, they didn't listen. For the second straight time in an Alabama and Georgia matchup in the SEC Championship, I made a video on a Thursday night right before the game on Saturday, predicting the game to a T. I nailed it on the head. I couldn't have called it any better. And also, I'm not going to let this go unnoticed. I kept my receipts. For the second straight time after making that video on a Thursday night, everybody, not even 80 this year. I'd say 90% of the comments were saying stuff like, oh, Matt's delusional. This guy's stupid. He doesn't know ball. What's he talking about? Blah, blah, blah. The list goes on. You saw the comment section. You can still go look at it. And oh yeah, by the way, let me clarify. Do I get upset when people say that? No, because you're entitled to your own opinion. It's fine. I'm just bringing it up because I think it's funny. It feels like deja vu. Please let me know in the comment section. Please let me know if you were subscribed to the channel or watching 2 years ago when I made dang near the same exact video. I titled it the same. The premise around the video was the same as well. What happened 2 years ago? Alabama was a heavy underdog against Georgia. They're coming off a nail-biter win against Auburn in which they shouldn't even been in the game at the end, but somehow, someway they pull it out. Ironically enough, same to this year, and they're heading into that championship game, and nobody thinks Bryce Young and Nick Saban they can get it done, and they blow out Georgia. And I called it, and I told people I didn't even think it was going to be close. I thought Alabama was going to blow them out because Georgia doesn't have a quarterback that can keep up with Alabama. That happened, and a lot of people gave me their kudos and respect, but I guess people didn't learn their lesson this year. I'm sure many of you saw this video. It got a lot of views, and I think a lot of people watched it. If you're watching this video, you probably watched that one. The video's 11 minutes long, and to sum up that 11-minute video, what was the focal point? I stated that Georgia's in trouble because they haven't faced a quarterback like Jalen Milroe. And I think now people are starting to turn the tide, especially after that Georgia win, and they're like, wait a minute, this Jalen Milroe kid, yeah, he's actually the real deal. What did I throw in that video? You know what? I'll throw it in again here. Urban Meyer stated, and he knows ball, okay? Say what you want about him off the field, but he knows ball, that Jalen Milroe is a combination of Percy Harvin and Reggie Bush. He is, and I tried warning Georgia fans. I tried warning you. Jalen Milroe is the best athlete in all of college football. I'm not even just talking about quarterbacks. But you didn't listen, and guess what your boy Matt did on his eventful Sunday night? I watched a lot of film. I just did film study like I normally do. And when I was doing my film study late Sunday night, I noticed a couple of things in this Georgia game, and I was like, oh yeah, that's why Georgia actually lost. And when I saw it for the second time, that's when it really stuck out to me. Because when you've already seen the game, the second time and third time you watch it, at least for me when I do my film study, you know what to look for. And I found what I was looking for. And before some of you run to the comment section, no, I'm not talking about the Isaiah Bond controversial 4th down catch. No. I'm not talking about that. I'm not going to get into it. Whether you think it's a catch or not, it doesn't matter. It's over, okay? I will say, though, as an Alabama fan, I don't know how it didn't get reviewed because I did think it was questionable. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and Even if it would have went to replay, I don't know if they would have overturned it, but they for sure should have reviewed it. I could sit up here all day and talk about, oh, well, the ball grazed the ground. It doesn't matter. I'm not getting into it, okay? They didn't call it. And I'll tell you right now, Georgia fans, I'd be pissed off if I was in your shoes too, but at the end of the day, they just didn't call it. I went back to this play. It's 17-10, about 2 minutes to go in the third quarter, and it's where Georgia fumbled. But one thing I noticed on this play was Alabama's defensive line just pushed back Georgia's offensive line. You see it right here. Yeah, it was a reverse play, but Alabama, they got through the gaps. And when I saw that, I was like, wait a minute. Was Alabama getting that much, I guess you'd say, push against this Georgia O-line the entire game on running and pass plays? So went back and watched some more, and yeah, I would say Alabama's front seven, do I say dominant? I don't know. I would say they did whatever you would put as below dominating to that O-line. Okay, we'll say this. Alabama's front seven outplayed Georgia's offensive line. They did. Georgia couldn't run on Bama. That's not nothing new. I've been telling people for 15 years, you're not going to run the ball in Alabama. Yes, Auburn had some success last week, but they're doing all kinds of crazy trick plays. It was their last game of the year. You know how that goes. So one of my biggest takeaways in my notes is, yes, Alabama definitely bullied I guess you'd say for the past 29 games, the bully. Georgia isn't used to playing another dominating copy pace of themselves, and that's what the Georgia-Alabama matchup is. Two great teams going at it. They're similar teams, similar play styles. Fast forward into time, though, it's 2017, it's crunch time. Georgia, they march down, get a touchdown, that's awesome, and they got to rely on their defense. Jalen Milroe makes a couple of passes, and just like that, Alabama's in plus territory, and it's 3rd and 2, and this is a huge play that not too many people are talking about. What happens? Alabama's O-line, and by the way, before I go any farther, hold on. I got to clap it up to the Alabama offensive line. They gave Jalen Milroe all day on almost every single play. Yeah, they gave up a couple of sacks here and there, but for the most part, that offensive line, they play like we thought they were going to play the entire season. They were tremendous, and the Alabama offensive line from game 1 to now game 13, they've been the most improved unit out of anybody in the country. And also, I think a lot of that has to do with Jalen Milroe has also helped on the offensive line. If he has a running lane, he takes it. He doesn't just sit there. He'll throw the ball away. He's making quicker reads. Everything has improved for this Alabama offense. But to go back to this play here, it's 3rd and 2. Jalen Milroe has all day long. And guess what? There's a quarterback spy, and this is the key. The quarterback spy, he sees Jalen Milroe step up, and what does he do? He comes up, and Jalen Milroe does his best Bryce Young Houdini act, and he flips the ball almost like a shovel pass to Isaiah Bond, and he takes it to about the 10. I mean, that was a huge play because if Georgia holds Alabama to a field goal, remember, Georgia marched right down after this drive, and they scored a touchdown. And then after that, Alabama, they punch it in. They get 7. They go up by 10. But guess what, Georgia? Like I already stated, they march down the field, and they get 7 right back. So here we are again. Georgia has to depend on their defense. They need one stop. They got 2 timeouts. If they had got a stop, they would have had plenty of time. Remember, all Georgia needed was a field goal. You just got to get the ball to the 35 to have a shot at it. And what happens on a 1st and 10? Jalen Milroe takes his direct snap. Yeah, you got some movement, Isaiah Bond coming across, but it's a quarterback run. And what does he do? He breaks off a 25-yarder. And here's the kicker. You see these Georgia defenders? They're side by side Jalen Milroe, and Jalen Milroe outran them. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's why I tried warning Georgia fans on Thursday night. You ain't played a quarterback like Jalen Milroe. Because why has Georgia been so dominant the past 29 games? Their athletes are better than the other team's athletes. But not Saturday. Saturday, they met their match, and it's just crazy to see other players outrunning and being faster, bigger, stronger than Georgia players. I'm not trying to disrespect or take anything away from Georgia players. I'm just telling you what happened. But here's the thing. No big deal, right? Because I was on 1st and 10. Georgia didn't burn any timeout, so they still got another chance to stop them. You know Alabama's not going to pass, and they didn't. On the next play, they got a 2-yard run, and what did they do after that? Yet again, another, and this was a game-sealing play, Jalen Milroe run up the middle. But here's the kicker with this play, and I was like, oh my goodness. Georgia fans ain't going to be happy when they see this. And by the way, I got to give a huge shout out to Alabama's offensive coordinator, Tommy Rees, because not only has the Alabama team got better and better every single week, he's gotten better and better every single week. He draws up a perfect play call, but here's the kicker. It didn't even fool Georgia. They didn't even bite on it, but I still thought it was good. You had motion coming across, so that distracts them a little bit. And then Alabama, the offensive line and the running back, they motion right when he snaps the ball because it looks like he's going to toss the ball off to Roydell Williams. But here's the thing, guys. It was a fake toss. And I'm going to show it to you right here. These 2 Georgia defenders, they didn't even bite on it. They didn't bite on it. And look, Jalen Milroe, he's running right. And the Georgia defenders, they're running right at him. It looks like, not even looks like, no, it's plain and simple. Jalen Milroe has nowhere to go. But guess what? Jalen Milroe, being the athlete he is, He puts his foot in the ground, and good gosh almighty, similar to Reggie Bush and Percy Harvin, just like Urban Meyer said, they just couldn't stop him. When he put his foot in the ground, I was like, oh yeah, it's done. And he burst up the middle of the gap, and yeah, that was the final play before the kneel downs. And it came down to this at the end of the game. You couldn't stop Jalen Milroe. Why? Because like I told you Thursday night, you haven't faced a quarterback like him, and a lot of people underestimate how athletic he is. On that last drive for Alabama, nobody's ever going to talk about it because it wasn't the game-winning touchdown or anything, but that was a huge drive because you knew Alabama was going to run the ball. You knew Jalen Milroe was probably going to run the ball, and he did, and you still couldn't stop him. And on that last play, the 2nd and 8, Georgia's defense was in prime position to make a play. You had 2 guys with a beat on them, and Jalen Milroe just hit that huge cut up the middle, and it was wraps. And that's why Georgia lost to me. Those big plays we talked about in this video, and Jalen Milroe, he played a great game. And by the way, on that last play, I don't know if many of you noticed this, but Jalen Milroe fumbled it at the end, and he got very fortunate that ball popped up back into his chest. I could go on and on. I love doing film breakdowns just for myself to gain more knowledge on the game, but I'm curious. Let me know your thoughts on all this down below. Why? Okay, this is why I think Georgia lost, but why do you think they lost? To me, I just think it came down to Milroe doing what he does. And I'll say this before I end off the video. Yes, it feels good to be right about something, especially when nobody was picking Alabama to win this game but myself. But at the end of the day, for me, this wasn't a lucky guess. I mean, if you're calling this a lucky guess or prediction for me, come on, man. I did the same thing in 2021. It's not luck, man. I don't just watch these games on Saturday. I rewatch film all throughout the week. I know what to look for, and at the end of the day, I think it's common sense because I just analyze what I see on the field. And what I saw leading up to this matchup is Jalen Milroe is going to give Georgia troubles, and he did. And here's the last thing I'll say and we'll end off the video here. For me, at least, the best part about winning is we didn't lose. I hate losing more than I like to win. When I win, not just when my favorite team wins, but in anything in life, I just feel like a weight gets lifted off my shoulders. It's just like, all right, good. I didn't lose, so I don't got to be mad. And what makes winning so special as an Alabama fan is we didn't just beat Georgia Saturday. That's what people don't get. We beat the entire country. Everybody was rooting against us. Everybody. And it's the same thing with getting into the playoff. I think getting into the playoff was just as sweet as beating Georgia because everybody wanted to see us get left out. And yet again, I hate it for Florida State, but somebody had to be left out. Some fan base was going to be heartbroken. I did want to give you guys this breakdown, and I'm curious. Let me know your thoughts down below about that Roman.